Sore throat is not just, that's a good question. It's not just a sore throat. And actually in our research, we've interviewed hundreds of adult patients with sore throat. And they complain of not just the pain on swallowing, that's a sore throat, but also is it difficult to swallow. Those are two different symptoms, in fact, that have been known really since the Greeks first described those terms. But there's a third common symptom of sore throat, and that is a sense of swelling that actually comes from the inflammation around the throat. Some patients will tell you it's like a lump in the throat or a potato there, it's swollen. Those are the three leading symptoms, but there are others like scratchy, irritated. Some patients will tell you it's burning or it's raspy or it's raw. Those are all different types of sore throats. And interestingly, those different qualities of pain affect different patients in different ways, even in different times throughout the day, throughout the course of a sore throat. So it's very important when you're treating or studying a patient with sore throat to know what his or her individual symptoms are. And that's what we did in our research. Really an elegant, simple product. Basically, it's a lozenge that's flavored, so it has good flavor, a sugar base, and as you know, honey and other demulcents will have that effect of soothing a sore throat. And that was the so-called placebo. It's really an active placebo because you see how patients are relieved by this topical sugar-based lozenge. But mixed in is a low dose of Flurbiprofen, Flurbiprofen being, of course, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. But the dose, which we've discerned from other studies, is quite low. It's 8.75 milligrams. Compare that to the prescription dose of Flurbiprofen, which is available in many countries worldwide, of 50 milligrams. There's a wide separation, and intentionally it's a low dose of Flurbiprofen in a sugar-based lozenge. I'd say it's suitable, but it's also appropriate for a rather common sense reason. You're giving the patient a lozenge that has a sugar base that gives a demulcent effect, but the Flurbiprofen, even at a low dose, is now topically applied to the inflamed mucosa of the pharynx, not just around and not just the tonsils, but the back of the throat that you can see when you say ah, if you will. And as I may have mentioned, and I'm not sure I did, is these patients were all examined for evidence of pharyngeal inflammation. So the Flurbiprofen, even in a low dose, is having a targeted effect on the inflamed mucosa that's causing the pain and the difficulty swallowing and the sense of swelling. So that's why it makes a lot of sense to deliver it that way. Well, with the new method, it was very clear that at 12 minutes, and if you looked at the curves, they're pretty clear, and the editors appreciated that it was rather pristine. You could see the separation of the drug. So at 12 minutes was the onset of the Flurbiprofen, 8.75 milligrams. And then you could see the onset and the effect just sort of like a trajectory taking off from there. It's very clear, and I can't really picture it for you here, but you see a rise, the onset, you see peak effects, and then it starts to wear off, which is what you see with every medication. So in the case of sore throat pain, difficulty swallowing, it's differentiated from placebo for up to 4 hours. Swollen throat, 3.5 hours, about the same. And so you know that it's not a medication that's going to mask symptoms. If the patient has a really bad sore throat and has to see a doctor, within 3 to 4 hours that pain's going to come back. And you can be sure that if it comes back with a vengeance, they're going to see a doctor, and if it's necessary, the doctor will treat accordingly. Patients who took this so-called placebo lozenge did get relief. And as you know, if you just take a sugar candy, its demulcent effects will bathe the throat, and the demulcent effects will be soothing. But beyond that, and this is why it was very publishable as a finding, you see that over 24 hours of as-needed self-medication, self-dosing, the people who were randomized to the Flurbiprofen lozenge had significantly greater, and by significantly I mean 45 to 60% greater effects on painful throat, difficulty swallowing, and throat swelling. So these were significant. The kind, now yes, they were statistically significant, but it's the kind of result that you like to see as a doctor, because you don't need a statistician to see that wide separation. It's a true pharmacologic effect, and you know that's a real patient benefit.